Hello and welcome to True Crime Diary, a light-hearted podcast on a serious subject. Every 2 weeks we look back through true crime stories to discuss an event that took place on this week in history. I'm your host Marty Kano, and with me as always are my friends Jed Lester.
Hello.
And Rue Turner.
Hello.
So the date we're looking at this episode is the 29th of October, and in 1901 Jane Toppen was arrested on a charge of murder. Though employed as a nurse, she became known as an angel of death.
Right. Obviously, I literally don't know anything about this. Was she... was a murdering professional while nursing?
Professional murdering? Like a hired hit woman?
No, while on the job, was she murdering?
Yes. She was a nurse who killed some of her patients, but also anyone else who happened to be around at the time.
Wow.
I love killing.
She loved to kill.
Yeah.
She is known now as one of America's most twisted serial killers.
Oh, God.
This is 1901.
Wow.
Most twisted.
Because we've had psycho.
We had a recent case of this in the UK, didn't we?
Well, yeah. Suppose we have. That was more babies. What was...
All ages.
All ages. She didn't... Think about her. She didn't discriminate. She was
equal opportunities murderer.
She saw, equality in everyone. Give us a taste of her killing methods.
Well, as a nurse, she had access to lots of poisons, and of course, this being the turn of the last century, lots of remedies had to do with things like arsenic and strychnine and antimony and whatever, which are all basically
cocaine.
Cocaine, yeah.
Opium, possibly?
Morphine,
yeah, right. Yeah,
Heroin.
Okay. Heroin? Really?
Drug of choice. Well, you could buy gift boxes. We've talked about this before. You could buy gift boxes with heroin and cocaine in from Harrods.
God, how brilliant is that?
Those are the days. Merry Christmas, Auntie.
Now that's a real Christmas gift.
Wow, that's
it's like
good, isn't it?
It's like when they discovered radium. Again, I feel like we've talked about this, but maybe not.
I don't remember it.
When they discovered radium, because it gave you such a healthy glow, i.e., radioactive glow, they put it in everything. They put it in toothpaste. They put it in lipstick. There was food. All sorts of consumables were in it. The stuff, nail varnishes. They all had radium.
So she had access to whatever she wanted.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that she was a nurse, arguably there to do good or help people,
yep,
she chose not to do that.
Basically, yes.
See, the thing about nursing is that generally, and doctors obviously, if they say, oh, you need to do this, you basically go, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like a mechanic or like a dentist, or to open your mouth and I'll drill it. Yeah, that's fine. You just do it basically, don't you?
Yeah.
And doctoring and nursing is there's an element of you want to like them.
It's a highly trusted profession.
Absolutely, they're there to make you better, and you are obviously utterly invested in them making you better. So, yeah, no, that's fine. What do you need me to do? Drink this, fluorescent liquid. Yep.
This bubbling
no problems at all. You just do it, don't you?
Nobody tells me what to do. Please sit down. Yes, doctor.
That's white coat syndrome, isn't it? Yeah. You just do as you're told.
Really? Right. Yeah.
Anyone you put on a white coat and give people orders, they'll do it.
Yeah. Fascinating, isn't it? In the same way, not too similar, but if we all put on Hi-Viz and got some cones and went out into the road, we could cone off a motorway instantly, and everyone go, right, we'll just go around, meaning, oh, there's cones here, right, we need to, you can do anything if you've got some cones and a bit of Hi-Viz. You can, I'm just going to cone off this hospital,
Yeah, I suppose that's similar in the sense of that people wouldn't question it, but not in the sense that if you put on a Hi-Viz jacket, you could get someone to drink medicine.
No.
I used to know a guy who wore a Hi-Viz jacket driving. And he says all the cars around him would slow down to the speed limit.
Yeah,
and just
Nothing to do with what he was
68
driving.
miles an hour. No, nothing to do with the way he's driving, just because he's wearing a Hi-Viz jacket.
Wearing a Hi-Viz.
People would see that and go, police, undercover.
They assume it's a...
Why would an undercover officer wear a Hi-Viz jacket? I don't know.
Yeah. Very interesting, isn't it? Fascinating insight into just human, I don't know, not gullibility at all, but because it's doctors and you want them to...
Well, we're pattern matching creatures, so we just look for patterns all the time.
That cloud up there looks a little like the profile of Thomas Eakins, the famous painter and sculptor.
And we see a pattern and we think, okay, well that must mean this, because that's what that pattern leads to.
Yeah, or not.
She used atropine as well, didn't she?
Yeah, all variety. What she did was she would experiment.
Yeah.
The patients were her guinea pigs, basically. She would test to see what things did and
Right.
what, bigger doses, smaller doses.
Which obviously that is ultimately done in certain specific...
Normally laboratory conditions on mice.
Basically, not necessarily
elderly or...
Actually, do you know what? I'll just give Hilda a pint of extra of whatever and see what happens. But was that what she was interested in, or did she just want to kill people? Meaning, did she literally want to go? Actually, do you know what? I'm gonna give him another cup of morphine and see what the results are.
Cup of morphine.
I get the feeling that she actually really enjoyed killing people.
Right.
Oh yeah.
She
stated so at the
She completed
right, okay.
it. She completed it.
So it wasn't for the greater good.
No. It's not clear
and
from...
it's those results we use today.
It's for the greater evil.
The greater good.
We don't know if at the beginning that was her intent. She may have gone from not caring whether they lived or died, and it was about the experiment, and then it becoming more that she actually wanted.
She wanted to just knock them off.
Yeah, it might be that at the beginning it was the experimentation to see what would happen or how soon they would die, and not really caring.
Yeah,
rather than the killing itself. But
right.
certainly later on, by the time she was arrested,
latter.
she definitely she claimed that she wanted to kill as many people as possible.
Yeah, the trial, she said you wanted to be known to have killed the most people.
Yeah.
Oh right. Oh, okay.
All I want to do is be the best nurse I can.
What was Shipman? Harold Shipman, everyone. Was his a similar thing of? I'll tell you what. Or was he just?
Well, I think he claimed he was doing them a kindness, or he wasn't doing it at all.
Right.
It was like euthanasia. He claimed that it was either euthanasia or he didn't do it in each instance. So some he did, but it was for their benefit. And the others he didn't do, he claimed.
Oh, okay.
But then a lot of those that died at his hands were perfectly healthy.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So euthanasia is kind of, a bit of a poor argument.
They were all old, weren't they?
Yeah. But it's like John Bodkin Adams.
Grizzly.
He's well known, not Grizzly. John Bodkin Adams was a doctor who is basically one of Britain's most famous serial killers, even though he was never charged with a crime.
Oh, wow. Wow.
He's just believed to have been a criminal. Lots of his patients died and left him stuff in their will.
Oh, God.
And yet he was never convicted of anything. If you go to the True Crime Museum on the South Coast, it's got like his glasses and his medicine case and all that, or exhibits in the museum, even though he's not a convicted.
Right.
Just everyone just kind of knows he did it.
Yeah.
But again, it's a pattern. Again, this position of authority. If you are in a position if you hold someone's life or death in your hands, does that give you like the God delusion kind of thing?
Well, quite. Yeah.
And of course, people are so willing, because of white coat syndrome, people are so willing to allow you to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You basically hold their entire existence in your hands, and you do that day in, day out, again and again. You might go a little bit loopy.
Yeah.
There's some really interesting studies about the placebo effect and white coat syndrome.
Placebo means bullshit.
If you put a white coat on, the medicine is twice as effective, even if it's just sugar.
Yeah.
If it's a white coat person and they give you an injection of saline, that's more effective than a white coat giving you a tablet.
Yeah.
Even though they both do no work whatsoever. Neither medicine will have any effect on you.
It's fascinating.
You get better.
Isn't it? That's so fascinating.
Yeah, the mind's control over the body, because, like in the Matrix, isn't it?
The body cannot live without the mind.
I don't know if there's been a study about whether the blue pill or the red pill is more effective.
born in 1854. She's from Boston, Massachusetts. Her upbringing is kind of weird. She was known when she was young as being a bit feisty, and she was described as brilliant and terrible in her youth, which is interesting. Precursor.
Yeah.
Her mum died when she was very young. Her dad was like an alcoholic. She was put in an asylum when the mother died. The dad put them...
Yeah, he really wasn't capable of looking after her, was he?
No, he was, like I say, he was a proper alcoholic, and he was abusive of the kids. His name was Peter Kelly, and they called him Kelly the Crack. But it wasn't crack as in he's Irish immigrant and good for the crack. It's crack as in crackpot because he was a nutter.
Okay. So her foundations were
poor at best. Yeah. There is a story that Kelly the Crack was so loopy that while working as a tailor, he tried to sew his own eyelids shut.
Right.
That's the mental background that they had.
That is much more of a rumour, though.
True enough.
Yeah, it was mentioned.
It has come. Yeah, it did come up. But once he put the girls, Jane, who would have been 6, and her 8-year-old sister, once he put them in the orphanage, the Boston Female Asylum, that was the last time they all saw each other.
You get asylum. You get asylum.
I wonder what would happen to her if he hadn't. I mean, in some ways, putting her in the asylum is a kindness. Do you know what I mean? Because being at home with an alcoholic, abusive father isn't going to be a great environment.
No.
But then I wouldn't imagine an asylum for a 6-year-old is that great either.
No.
No, I think it's an orphanage, really. It's probably more like a workhouse, to be fair, as we would understand. And there's no records.
Yeah.
But they also, as well as their nutter dad, they had an older sister, and she went mad, and she was committed to a lunatic asylum. So madness runs in the family.
Oh, yeah.
So in 1862, so she's about 8 or approaching 8 years old, she's put into indentured servitude, which is one up from slavery, basically.
Right.
So she went to work for the Toppen family, where she took her name because she was born Honora Kelly.
That's a stupid name.
Yep.
So she took the name of the household. They didn't adopt her, she was a servant. But to distance herself from the Kelly family, she decided to take the name of the Toppen family and called herself Jane Toppen. The family that had her as a servant, they had a daughter already, Elizabeth Toppen. So even though as a servant, still better this family than...
Yeah.
She considered them benefactors in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, on the basis that did they decide you can have our surname? Or
they obviously allowed it, but...
Nice. You know, from the point of view of feeling part of something.
There's really a formal structure for naming people then much, was there? If you wanted to change your name, you just said, that's my name, and everyone would use that name. You know?
Right.
Yeah, and even at this point, this is like the end of the 19th century, even at this point, as for hundreds of years, people's names were quite fluid. You know, this is how you spell it, changed from one document to another. Yeah. So it wasn't the be-all and end-all. It's not so such a trail as there is these days. So in 1885, she began training to be a nurse. Now, having been called this terrible youth, when she went to the nurse training, she was very friendly and got the nickname Jolly Jane.
All right.
However, what people who knew her as Jolly Jane didn't know was that she would make up fake medical charts.
Here we go.
Here we go. And using atropine and arsenic, morphine and all these other drugs that she had available, she would find her favourite patients, the very old people, and then just basically dose them.
I was going to say, when you say favourite, you don't mean the ones that she liked.
Not the ones
but
she
the
liked.
ones that she saw as opportunities.
Exactly.
So it was never for her I could get some free, I don't know, cocaine or whatever, and pretend it's for him.
No.
Yeah, that always puzzled me about people like this, is they're not on the drugs. They just like giving them to other people. It always seemed to
I'm
be
sure
weird
they
that
are
not tempted to.
Well, she might have given herself an occasional dose. Who knows?
Maybe.
But she knew what it did because she experimented on these people.
Maybe that's why she's so jolly.
Oh, well,
she's stoned the whole time.
Yeah. She would basically mess with their dosages to see what happened.
Wow.
Such experiments we had better leave to the arch criminal, don't you think?
Then in 1889, she was transferred to Massachusetts General.
A new job, basically.
So she finished her training at the one hospital, and then she transferred to Massachusetts General. But she was only there for a year, or less than a year, and it was fired. And then returned to Cambridge, and then she was fired from there. Because, in each instance, she was caught messing with opiates.
Right, yeah, okay.
So she then became a private nurse.
Okay.
1895, so a few years later, she kicks off what's become known as a spree.
Sure, yeah.
We do love a spree.
So, meaning she hadn't killed anyone yet?
It's not known if she's directly responsible for any of the deaths at the hospitals, but we do know that she was seeing
loading people up.
Yeah, she's loading people up for years. We know that much. Loading them up.
Load them up!
Right, okay.
So maybe she just gets the hang of it. Or maybe just a series of opportunities presented themselves to her.
I suspect so, because she might have had 15 years experience by then. So you'd probably, the difference between a milliliter here and there, she'll know what the results are. And depending on who you give it to, obviously, can't give it to that 98-year-old. That dose, you've got to give it, a certain dose to a 21-year-old or whatever. But she'll kind of know what to do with things, won't she?
Yeah. I mean, it only takes like 10 or 20 milligrams of atropine to kill you. Morphine, there's not really a lethal dose known because you can build up massive tolerances to it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, she would have known what how to do it, really.
Yeah.
And presumably how to, oh no, this one's just died, meaning how to do it and get away with it.
Yeah.
Is that what she was doing, getting away with it?
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Thomas you never guessed what he was. I know he was talking about his holiday recently.
But they do that before they go.
But he's now dead. Has he? Oh dear, that's a shame. Anyway, let's get the coroner in. Meaning it was presumably done in a... Well, not suspicious at all.
We know that there were deaths, but we don't...
He's got a knife in his chest. I thought you were going to give him Anadin. Do you know what I mean? You can just surreptitiously... I mean, I'm aware it's going to add up. Hang on. Well, isn't it in like the 17th person today that's died? With
what happened to that litre of morphine we had
that was on the shelf?
Sorry, did anyone see the massive lethal dose of medication I had a minute ago? I could have sworn I left it just here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she wasn't arrested until 1901, and although there were deaths at the hospitals,
which
victims that she claimed were her that she had killed later on.
Yes. Oh, okay.
At the time, the worst that happened to her was that she was fired.
So no one thought there's a...
Well, maybe they did, but I wouldn't think that a hospital or a nursing home would really want to admit that they had a nurse that killed people.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened to, I can't remember what his name was, but another person that was killing people in hospitals. He just got sacked.
I think it's important we know who that is.
Or, left the hospital.
Sure, yeah.
Because the hospital just wants to know, well, this has happened, but we can stop it happening. Go away.
Yeah.
You're fired, leave.
You are through. Finished. Fire. Up, out, over, up, out.
I still think there's an element of, from the patients, yeah, that's fine, I'll take that. And also an element of, trust and white coterie by all the people who wear white coats, meaning, he's died. Meaning,
so you're
not,
saying anyone who wears a white coat has definitely deliberately killed somebody?
No, I'm saying that someone who wears a white coat can delude loads of other people who are wearing white coat, meaning their colleagues, by going...
I don't know if the white coat effect works on people who wear white coats.
But they can...
It's just another person.
The different... if
hang
they
on a
weren't...
minute, why have you given them a massive dose of opiates?
But if they weren't wearing it...
They should have just had an antibiotic.
If they weren't wearing it, they'd go, oh, hang on, what are you doing? But if you're... the bigger the white coat, the
more pens you have in your chest pocket.
My
pocket protector's bigger than yours.
Oh, right, no, she's done... But she's been doing that for years. She knows what she's doing. Do you know what I mean? So, but anyway...
What if you go to hospital with a Hi-Viz?
Put some cones around a man.
Put some cones around, yeah. No one's going in there.
I'm going to have to
you can't go in the
cone off this man.
Turn these off. Turn all these machines off.
Why does Mr. Winthrop have chalk around him?
Already. So it went on for years and years and years, basically.
So as I say, 1895, poisoning spree. Well, I say spree. over a period of years.
Yeah.
I don't think a spree can last.
But it's
years.
less administering doses and deliberate killage
right
from here on out. So
I mean, with what? Not with axes or anything, but
no, it's all poisons.
Yeah, right. Okay.
All poisons. Poisoning being the female murderer's weapon of choice.
Whatever.
Almost always, yeah.
Really? It's quite interesting. Are we talking about now as well?
Now and always.
Now and forever.
Now and forevermore. Yeah, it always has been, yeah.
Right.
Because you don't need to overpower them.
True.
It's not
brute strength.
Usually messy, unless there's vomiting and bleeding involved.
It's quiet. Is it quiet?
It's generally quiet.
I've been poisoned. Be quiet.
It's easier to convince other people that you're looking after somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it builds up an excuse for why they die if they're ill for a long period of time. So it's the female.
It's the weapon of choice. Right. Wow.
Whereas blokes tend to be more violent. And,
yes.
So it's more about bludgeoning and beating.
Right.
So it's violent acts and not really much thinking about what to do afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas women, they're always thinking
much
about
more
how
organised.
to get rid of you.
Yeah, sure.
Much more organised. Yeah.
At any point, they could be poisoning you.
Just because poison happens to exist is no excuse to commit murder with it.
They do get caught, so we do know that
some of them have been caught.
Some of them have been caught.
Yeah.
So she killed her landlord, Israel Dunham.
Was he in hospital?
No.
Right, okay.
In the house.
So that's going to start unravelling, isn't it?
Yeah. And his wife.
Oh, God.
Killed them both.
Right, okay. With the same... How did she do that?
With a poison that I'm not aware which one. Sure.
They passed away in their sleep.
Yeah.
Did they?
Well, if they were poisoned, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, not necessarily.
Or they vomited violently and passed away in their vomit.
You know how you hold your throat in
movies?
In a film? In films, you go...
See, that would never happen, because normally it would get you in the bloodstream. Not immediately you pour it in your throat. It would either attack your nervous system.
Yeah.
Well, basically it would attack your nervous system.
Would you have the nous to hold your own throat and go, I've been poisoned?
No, you probably would go into full body convulsion and your arms wouldn't be able
instantly.
to lift to your throat.
Instantly?
Yeah. Instantly it takes
I don't know
effect,
what she's putting in them.
Well, she's supposed to have used
a cocktail
of drugs.
All cocktails are cocktails of drugs.
Are they?
Yeah. Drugs just a chemical.
Yeah, true enough.
Orange juice is a chemical.
I quite like
a collection of chemicals.
I like a cocktail
of drugs.
Of gin.
A cocktail of gin.
So what was it that she would pump?
Well, we know that she's used morphine, atropine.
You could get these poisons from any house in London.
She killed her foster sister, Elizabeth Toppen, with strychnine, which was a common rat.
Are they asleep?
Yeah, that's an unpleasant death.
Are they asleep and she goes... Or she goes, I'll tell you what would make you feel better.
Here's a nightcap.
Yeah.
Well,
is it that?
Unfortunately, I don't have the court transcript.
I reckon it's what you said, Rue. Because it's here she is. She fancy a nightcap? Oh yeah, I'd love
I imagine it's how about a lovely cup of tea?
Yeah.
And they drink the tea, and then
everyone
and
go, that'd be great.
I'm all over unwell. Let me get you some strychnine soup.
Some more. Oh yes, of course.
Using her nursing bedside manner to.
Oh yeah, we'll eat whatever and drink whatever she says because she's a nurse.
She was a nurse. Yeah.
I'm not feeling very well. Oh, you go to bed. I'll sort something out. I'll sort out a cocktail of
gin.
You sip this. Oh, okay. Dead.
It's poison. It's poison.
She used to put it in food and drinks and inject them as well. So, I mean, like you say, Jed, that if a doctor comes up and says, you need an injection, you just go, all right, fine, and put your arm out.
Absolutely.
I'm going to pump you with a cocktail of drugs.
Said, it's time for your injection. Yeah. Oh, is it? All right, okay.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, yeah. If I'd said it, they would have gone, what are you talking about?
By the way, I'm a nurse.
Yeah. Right, okay.
Yes, so she could
feel a bit woozy.
She could do whatever she wanted, basically.
Yes.
And in a hospital, or not in a hospital, because she would have had the,
white coat.
Well, the classic, is there a doctor in the house or whatever? And if one of us said, yeah, I'm a doctor, everyone would go, oh, okay, right, so what do we do? I'm just going to axe his head.
Yeah.
Instant trust, isn't it? Yeah, I'm a doctor. No, like
fly this plane.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. This guy needs open heart surgery. Oh, does he? Right. When I said I was a doctor,
I'm a doctor of philosophy.
Yeah.
It's an honorary doctorate.
I got a doctorate
in Welsh poetry.
Yeah. Oh, okay then.
So, 1901, she moves in with a family of a man named Alden.
I'm still getting over the death of Queen Victoria, actually, to be honest. But anyway,
she wasn't poisoned, as far as we know.
No.
She died of old.
I know. But anyway, while she was dying, she moved into
She moved in with a man named Alden Davis, an elderly man with his family, to take care of him because his wife, Mattie, had sadly died of poison.
Oh dear.
Poison? How did that happen?
You move in with us because the man is also ill.
Yeah, she moved in to take care of him because she killed his wife.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The usual
setup. But then she killed him.
Of course, yeah.
And his sister and two of his daughters.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So that's a spree.
Classic story. Woman meets old man. Woman kills his whole family.
Within what? A few weeks or something?
Well, let's just say she had a fun summer. It was a hot girl summer.
If I was one of the latter relatives, I would have
You'd be dead.
I would have gone. I'd have gone. There's a theme developing here.
Well, it's interesting you should say that because one of the latter members of the Davis family,
one of the daughters,
said, "This is a bit funny.
This is fishy."
So they had a toxicology exam, a 1901 toxicology exam done.
Wonder how
on one of the
detailed
daughters.
that would have been.
It did manage to determine that she had been poisoned.
An ingested poison of some kind.
Yep.
So they put the police on her. They kept an eye on Toppen, and basically by the end of October that year, she was arrested.
To do with that family.
That spree, the 1901 spree,
was what did her in.
Was what, yeah.
I never poisoned nobody.
So she's arrested in October 1901. She's held on remand while they wait for trial, during which time she confesses to 31 murders.
Wow.
You did poison him.
Or 31 that she claims and names, but it's generally believed it was at least twice, possibly 3 times that many that she just didn't name.
She said in the court, it would be safe to say that I killed at least 100 persons.
Did she want it to be a big number?
Yes.
She wanted
to go
the biggest number.
Right, okay. Everyone look at me. I've killed people.
Yes.
Lots of them.
The quote at her trial that she made was, "That is my ambition, to have killed more people, more helpless people, than any man or woman who has ever lived." That's what she said at her own trial.
Well, my first question to that statement would have been, why? Because you didn't need to.
Funsies?
Because the helpless thing, that's a load of rubbish, isn't it?
For the most part, they were elderly.
But that family, mother, father, or grandfather, grandmother, and then...
Well, the daughters, presumably the youngest of the family, were 40.
Oh, okay. Right.
So the elders were 60s and 70s.
Right, okay. But for whatever reason, she wanted to be the top of the crops.
Top of the crops.
And even she thought that she might have a mental disease.
Was the question... I presume the question... an element of the question of why, presumably was asked. And she must have been asked, any reason why are you doing all this, love?
The reason that she gave was, she said, I had the terrible and irresistible desire to mangle and destroy.
Right.
Well, she didn't do a lot of mangling, though.
No, she just destroyed.
I think that was rhetoric.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
She would be driven by her own evil to kill him.
What's interesting is, she's obviously got a very strong case for I'm a nutter.
Yes. Yeah.
But she wanted not to be found insane.
Right.
Because if you're insane, you go into an institution until they say you're not insane anymore, which means you're basically there forever.
There's no, death penalty thing.
You can't kill a mad person.
You go into an asylum.
They're not responsible for what they did. Yeah.
Right.
If she'd said that she wasn't guilty and she'd gone to trial, she probably would have got the death penalty. But she wanted not to be found insane. She wanted to do a deal whereby she confessed to being guilty to get a prison sentence. because then she could ultimately get paroled and get out.
Wow.
That was her target.
But she also wanted notoriety.
She also wanted notoriety.
That's what I just said.
And I repeated it for emphasis.
But if you've killed, let's say, a minimum of 30 people,
yep,
and you're going to get a prison sentence, it's not going to be one short enough that you're going to get out.
No, one would assume.
Well, you're going to be there for the foreseeable, useful extent of your life.
If not
all of it.
3 times it. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose any possibility of getting out of prison is better than no possibility. Yeah.
I mean, there would be no possibility, though, would there? Or could a lawyer or somebody argue that he was ill kind of thing?
Well, she's got 3 choices. You can plead insanity and probably go away for the rest of your life. You can plead guilty and therefore you can save the cost of the trial.
Yes.
Bring closure to the victims because they know who died.
Yeah, and who did it.
Not that she'd be interested in giving people closure.
Yeah, that's not for her. But that would be in the interests of the court.
Yeah.
Or you plead not guilty, you've got a long, protracted trial and a high possibility that you get executed.
Very high.
So in 1901 Massachusetts, you would hang.
Was she hanged?
No.
Ah.
Because despite her
protestations,
despite her protestations and her attempts to be found not insane,
yes,
she was found to be insane.
Because she's a psycho loony.
I would say she wasn't insane, but sadly I wasn't part of the board of people who chose it.
There's a tiny little bit more to the story because
hang on.
She went to the Taunton Insane Hospital, 1902, not in Somerset, in Massachusetts. She was there until her death in 1938, aged 84.
Wow.
A long life.
Yeah, ripe old age.
And people who ran the hospital, the stewards, the attendants, mostly would say, she was quiet and she was sweet.
She was all right.
But some of the people who'd been there longer would have stories, possibly fictional, possibly not, we don't know, that she would invite them into her room and ask them to sneak her morphine so that the two of them, the attendant and her, could then, quote, have a lot of fun seeing them die. She wanted to kill other inmates in the ward.
Blimey.
Apparently.
Which I would imagine it's easy to say that's true because she probably, that fits with her character, you can easily imagine.
And she did it.
She would want to continue killing
previously.
Yeah. She wanted to do the killing. She was obviously insane, barking mad, and and able to come across as like sweet and genial.
Sure. Yeah.
While all the time mischief was afoot.
Wow.
If you're a fan of Big Bang Theory, she puts me in mind of a certain character on that. I can imagine her as a bit of a Amy Farrah most fowler. With a penchant for poisoning. She's got that kind of chuckly, nerdy character about her who probably kills people at the university. She's just dropping that pipette in their lunches.
William Randolph Hearst, newspaper man, who we talked about at length for things such as the Black Dahlia.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For his sensationalism. You could call him like an early Murdoch.
Very much, yeah.
Yep.
He printed what he claimed was her confession in his New York Journal.
Yeah,
if he's anything like Murdoch, it was made from whole cloth.
Well, exactly. It probably was utter nonsense, but it did have in her supposed confession, it did have the 31 count of confessed murders, and it said in there that she wanted the jury to find her sane. It had all of this was published, so this was very shortly after the trial. It had all the details. So,
sure, yeah.
Unlike during the Black Dahlia case. It came out after the fact and wasn't stirring up everything during the investigation. Yeah. You asked the question, why? So, one of the things that we know is that she wanted to be the most pillage.
Best.
Yeah. She did say, and again, whether this is true or not, I don't know, but she was a certifiable nutter, so she did say under questioning that she got a sexual thrill from watching people near death.
Because she used to climb in bed with them.
There's a claim that she did that.
While they died.
Yeah, she got a thrill from getting them nearly dead and then reviving them and then...
Oh, she would do that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Who else did that? Dharma. No, not Dharma.
Nilsson. Well, one time he brought him back to life and let him go.
Yeah, that poor fellow.
Wow.
There is an awful movie.
Good.
It is...
What's it called?
American Nightmare.
Oh, yes.
It's really shocking. And Jid, you'll be pleased to know that the protagonist in that movie does poison people with a big knife.
Right. Oh, okay. So this.
So it's. I mean, it's. Yeah.
It's not correct.
No.
Right. Okay.
Well, it's claimed that it's inspired by
events.
Yeah. And
inspired as far as woman kills some people.
And the character's name
is Jane
Toppen.
Right.
It's inspired so
the
much
similarities.
by
So it is about that.
Yeah. It's a nurse named Jane Toppen who kills people, but with
they've jazzed it up film-wise.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
Well, they've jazzed it down. They've made it less.
Were there people holding their throats in the film?
I've been poisoned.
Jane. Toppen.
Well, that's 2003. I think that came out.
Oh, does she still hold the record?
The record. Best killing
for
woman.
the most kills, I would imagine so.
No,
not remotely.
No.
30 to 60 people is nothing these days.
Well, who's more than that? I'm talking about women.
I was going to say,
women.
If you add female and poisoning,
yes.
I mean, yeah, she's going to be up there for sure. Up there on the tops, on the podium.
Yeah. There you go. Her legacy lives on.
That's all for this time. If you want to know more about what we've talked about in this episode, Google it or something. You can listen to all of our previous episodes on our website, truecrimediary.co.uk. Please leave a review on your podcast provider if you can, or you can send an email to truecrimediarypodcast@gmail.com. My thanks to Jid and Roo, and to all of you for listening, and we'll see you again on the next date in our True Crime Diary.